All right, so let's get started on Concept 1 of Unit 5. At this point, you should have this video playing on your iPad, and you should have your yellow packet out on your desk ready to record the first 3 words for Concept 1. So the first thing that I want to talk about is our unit essential question and our lesson essential question, because there's something that we have to fix. So as we go along, if you need to pause this, please feel free to. So right now, I want you to take a look at your yellow packet. You should look up at the top of your yellow packet. You'll see the title Unit 5, Environment, and then you'll see our unit essential question, which is, what is the relationship between humans and the natural environment? So that's the overall question that we are thinking about this unit. I think it's really cool and interesting, and I want you thinking about how do human actions have an impact on our environment around us. So Concept 1 is called Human-Environment Interactions. I want you to skip over the map and look at the title of Concept 1. You'll see Concept 1, Human-Environment Interaction. Next to Human-Environment Interaction, I want you to write HEI. That's an abbreviation you'll see sometimes for human-environment interactions. So I want you to just write that next to the title. So it'll say Concept 1, Human-Environment Interactions, HEI. Now, the lesson essential question, the one that is in your packet, is not the one that I want you to pay attention to. I apologize. That's my bad. So the one that is in this Pear Deck, the one that is on the whiteboard, and the one that you'll see on the folder in Schoology is correct. The one that is printed in your packet is wrong. My bad. So if you want to change it in your actual packet, you can, if you want to do this later, whatever. But if you flip the page and you look at your Concept 1 LEQ box, you'll see this really long question that talks about risk and resources. Don't worry about that. That's making this way too complicated. The LEQ I want you to answer and think about for Concept 1 is what's on the screen. How do the different kinds of human behavior impact the environment? So this kind of mirrors the UEQ with talking about how does human behavior have an impact or affect our environment around us. And you see our little picture, we have our human, and then he's given like a chicken nugget or something to our squirrel. So he's interacting with the environment. Cool. Okay, so moving on. There we go, moving on. So we are in our yellow packet. Get it? Bananas. Okay, so the first 3 words are depend, adapt, and modify. The first 3 words of Concept 1, the whole unit, have to do with the specific ways that humans interact with the environment. So if it were me, what I would do is in the little space that's on the left side of your word definition boxes, I would just write HEI or do a little asterisk or a star or something next to the first 3 words. The first 2 are on the first page of your packet, and then the last one, modify, is on the next page. Do something or highlight them to indicate that these are the 3 words that are the 3 kinds of human behavior. So thinking back to our lesson essential question, these are the human behavior words. So when you're answering your LEQ, that's what you're looking for when you want to talk about behavior. Okay, so the first level of human behavior or human interaction with the environment is depending or depend. Humans depend on the environment for life, natural resources, and survival. I think that's something that should make sense. We depend, there we go. Humans depend on the environment for life, natural resources, and survival. We need our environment in order to survive, just like all other animals or bugs or plants. They need the environment. We need energy from the sun. We need water from our oceans, our rivers, our lakes, all that good stuff. We need food from our natural resources. We need shelter. We need these basic things that the environment provides for us. So this is the definition that goes in your definition box. I'm going to change the slide, so if you're not done yet, you'll need to pause. This is what I want you to put in your example box. These are examples of things that we depend on the environment for. We depend on food, we depend on water, we depend on basic shelter, and we depend on air. We need air to breathe. What I mean when I say basic shelter, man, I keep crossing these out. What I mean when I say basic shelter is like not a big gargantuan mansion. I mean, we need shelter from weather. We need something to protect us. This could be a tree. This could be, a simple kind of hut or something. But I mean like a basic covering to protect us. I am not talking about a big giant house or even something as simple as like an apartment complex. A lot of us might live in an apartment. I live in an apartment. That's not what I'm talking about here. We're going to see that come in a different word. Depend is like basic needs, basic, super basic needs met. All right, so that's depend. So that's like level 1 of humans interacting with the environment. Level 2 is adapt. So your next word is adapt. When we're thinking about adapt, we are talking about from the perspective of humans. So we're talking about from the perspective of human beings. Okay? Humans adapt or change our behavior and our way of life to fit within our environment. So it's really important to note that in this level of human behavior, when we are adapting, humans are changing, not the environment. 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 Okay. So that's your definition for adapt. We change our behavior and our way of life to fit within our environment. We are changing our behavior. We are not actually changing the environment. Here's some examples of that. So in your extra notes, here's some examples. Clothes, okay? If it's cold outside and you walk outside, you do not have a master world thermometer to turn down the entire world temperature, or turn up if you're cold. So you put on a jacket, okay? You are changing your behavior. You are putting on a jacket so that you are prepared for what's outside in the environment, okay? Second example could be building a very basic shelter. This is once again kind of what I was talking about in the depend. Building a very basic shelter. Building a very basic shelter out of like a tree. Okay? Or, I don't know, using like basic wood or straw. I'm now thinking of like the 3 Little Pigs. Building a basic shelter out of natural resources just kind of found around you in order to protect yourself from a storm, from the cold, from the heat, shade or something like that. That's adapting to your environment. Another example could be using an umbrella when it rains, okay? We do not yet have the power to turn off the rain, so if you go outside and you want to protect yourself from the rain or your phone, you use an umbrella, okay? That's you changing your behavior, not the environment. In adaptation, in this level of human behavior, we are not directly changing the environment, we are changing ourselves. Humans change, not the environment. So our final level of behavior is modifying. So this is what we're going to be most familiar with and what we most often do in today's society. We modify. So this, you should be flipping your page now. You should be on the back of the first page. Modify is when humans change something about the environment to meet our needs. So this is humans are now changing the environment to meet our needs. Modify, we are changing the environment. If you ever see me put enviro, that's my shortcut for environment. So we modify the environment all the time. This really started once we industrialized. Okay, if you think about industrialization, we've talked about it twice now in this class, and we're going to talk about it again in this unit. Industrialization, we talked about when we talked about Europe imperializing Africa, and how Europe was industrializing, so they needed resources and labor from Africa in order to industrialize. We talked about industrialization in Unit 3 again when we talked about developing versus developed nations. And we talked about how a developed nation has gone through industrialization and has more technology, has more education, and has more health care. And so their population is overall more stable and healthier. So that's when we were looking at those population pyramids. So we've talked about industrialization before. Industrialization is technology, manufacturing, producing stuff. If you drive around, you see factories around in Delaware. That's industrialization. Industrialization is what really shifted us from just kind of adapting our environment to now modifying it. So now as humans in our society, we modify our environment all the time. And here's some examples. So in your extra notes, you could be putting this. Heating and cooling. So if you think about the air conditioner or a heater, that is doing something to actually modify the environment. Now, is the air conditioner for Howard High School of Technology changing the air of the entire world? No, it's just changing the general environment of this area right here, this space, but it's modifying our environment. We have done something to change the natural environment that we live in. Instead of just putting on a jacket or, taking off our jacket, we are now doing something. We are installing a technology that changes our environment. Okay? So that's an example. Would be heating and cooling. Okay? Other examples, and this is really what I'm getting at with industrialization, is any kind of super intense man-made structure. Okay? So this could be, oh no, it's not going to fit. All right. That's cute. Okay. So man-made structures like buildings, like Howard High School of Technology is a building. If you look outside our window and you see construction, we are building something new. We are changing and dramatically impacting the environment. Subways, we have now dug out the ground from underneath us and installed trains. That's modifying our environment. Houses, we are now building something on a piece of land that is directly changing and modifying what the environment is like. Bridges, we are now installing something that goes over, an overpass or goes over a river or something like that, and that impacts the environment. Canals, when have we talked about canals before, everyone? The Panama Canal, yes, you are correct. So the Panama Canal, that's a great example of us modifying the environment because we literally created a whole new river, okay? If you remember, a canal is a man-made river. If you think about the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans, they were not connected in that way before we built the Panama Canal. And then we came in and we literally just cleared out land. We stuck dynamite and blew up the land to create this river to connect those oceans that directly modified our environment, okay? So these are the 3 levels of human behavior. Depend, meaning we need the environment. Modify, meaning, I'm going out of order. Depend, meaning we need the environment. Adapt, meaning we've changed something about ourselves to fit within our environment. And then modify, meaning we are changing our environment. Oh no. Okay, that's the end of this video. Go on to the next step in Schoology. Please ignore Dr. Spore's announcement.